Hello, and in today's video we're talking about a question that we've received from an IT leader, which is, how do I help my team to rally around our goals? There we go. How do we help people to rally around their goals? This is how this works. I introduce it, you speak, you introduce it, I speak.
So I wrote an article about this a few weeks ago because I was hearing a lot that people weren't meeting their goals, hitting their goals. You know, January everyone sets goals, then they all fall apart a couple of months later. And I guess quite often the scenario is we spend a huge amount of time setting goals, discussing it, signing it off in triplicate, putting it on the wall, putting it on the system.
Yep.
Everyone's going, yep, we all know what we're doing, and then daily work carries on and it doesn't quite work. And why that doesn't quite work, because things will happen. So you may not have considered the interventions. So, and I talked about having these waves coming through, which then distracts your thinking, where you're going, and what you're supposed to be doing. So one of the things we talk about a lot is about setting that vision and making sure that people buy into that. And they know where they're going. So they've got an intention there, it's been shared and communicated, everyone's enthused about it, even if it is challenging, and there's a great opportunity to start learning and making a difference to your organisation and to themselves. So yeah, the first thing for me is always, why are you doing it? Don't just set a number of goals because it's part of a company process. Why are you doing the things? And then make sure those goals are short, because I've worked in organisations where you set 8 goals at the start of the year and expect those 8 to last the end of the year, and maybe they're smart in there. So you then spend about an hour trying to work out how to write a smart objective, which is time bound, and you're going to deliver it in month 3. It just doesn't work in a pacey environment.
No.
So, and things change. So, writing specific and short, meaningful goals. So a couple, and then you change them, and you're moving towards that vision. So you're almost like stepping it up, moving forward, is actually really important. And I'm sure you've got lots to say about vision and purpose.
This is, in the mastermind chair, it's one of my subjects, I suppose. I agreed, absolutely. To reinforce a couple of points, and if you look at the organisations that have been most successful in the tech space, so pick on Intel, on Facebook, on Google, on Spotify, you name it. There's a commonality in those organisations in terms of how they connect and get people engaged in the goals. Many of the people I just mentioned have and continue to use OKRs, objectives and key results, as a framework, a method to approach getting people aligned to work. What all of them have in common, because there are plenty of ways to learn a bit more about OKRs, but what all of them have in common is some kind of long goal. And we're not talking about a 3-month or even a year goal, we're talking about a 20-year goal. So Google's is to organise the world's information, for example. That's nothing that we're going to complete this year. And if you listen to the context or the intent behind it, you can't finish it. It's actually a kind of an infinite goal. But you've then got to connect to what's going on in the organisation. So depending on who you are and the kind of company, Facebook, I think, stick to 3-month goals. So they have a 3-month outlook for people and like the massive 20-year one, and nothing in between. Because to Juliet's point exactly, you've got an incredibly high chance of stuff changing before you even get to the end of that 3 months. So why waste your energy? Every 3 months, Facebook check whether or not their next 3 months is going to point them towards their goal.
Yeah.
If you do that, and the language is always about that, because you're doing it more often and less of it, it's easier to be part of the process. You've got some kind of long-term goal which is easier to connect with, and it becomes a rhythm in your organisation. It's much easier for people to be part of it.
Yeah, I agree.
I would, just because you're right, I could go on about this for ages. The other thing in all of those organisations, many of those goals come upwards, not downwards. So Google work on 50-50, and that's seems to be adopted in many places. So the goals that a team are working on, half have come because of an initiative and half are your own initiative. That immediately starts to gather and gain engagement. And you know that they're going to be in the right direction because you've already connected people with the destination, right?
Yeah, people get excited by it, by the opportunity that they're going to learn something, they're going to give something back, help the customer, do something pretty amazing. It might not work, they might fail it, but that's okay because someone in that time will come up with a new idea, and that's the point. It's an evolution of things that get you to, or aspiring to, that destination you want to go to.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. I would, one last point, I think I've already said last point a few times, but a last point certainly, and this again links to OKRs, is to not have financial reward associated with the goals. What do I mean by that? If you set someone a lofty goal, or they set themselves a lofty goal of doing something that's effectively a moonshot, we're going to try and do something completely radical, tying money to it, and you can look at Daniel Pink and various other authors to bring this thinking together, doesn't motivate, doesn't create innovation. It makes people want to be safe or sandbag the target. Do you think you can get 100,000 users on this platform? No, 5? Because I can achieve that. Separate the money. One of the ways you separate the money is to say, against that target, which the person's been thinking about and doing, how is their, not about the target itself, but how is their performance delivering that target happened? So did they set themselves a really easy target and smash it, in which case there's maybe nothing to particularly reward? Or equally, did they have genuinely the toughest job? They were working with a new technology in a new space with a vendor that's given up, and they still managed to pull a rabbit out of a hat. That person deserves some reward. That's then you're rewarding the person's approach and their engagement. You're not rewarding a simple number that can be sandbagged the other side.
Yes.
I'll stop talking.
And if we link that to another video where we talk about problem solving, we can share some of the blogs we've done. And we should also talk about our new e-learning module. Appropriate moment.
At least some of what we talked about here and an introduction to OKRs is available in an e-learning module that we've just published, the first part of the Open Leader method. So we'll link that here. I genuinely recommend you check that out if you're interested in what we've been saying here about goal setting. That's some of the core knowledge of the Open Leader method program, which is targeted exactly on connecting people, not just telling them, connecting and engaging people in a vision and a destination. So that if you're genuinely interested in doing that and want to see the benefit, I know it's a shameless plug, but
why not?
But why not? It's well worth your time.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your question. If you have any comments for us, please do let us know. Otherwise, we will catch up with you again soon. Thank you.